All right, so today is Friday, November 8th, 2019. We're talking about slopes and equations in any form. This is kind of your comprehensive review lesson. How far are we in our unit guide? So in our unit guide, we're on 4-7. So this is like your last lesson, which means Monday's a quiz, Tuesday's the test. No, wait, because we have Monday off. So Tuesday's the quiz, and then Wednesday's the test.
Next week?
Next week, yeah. Because today's Friday. Who can read our ha ha ha? No objective. All right, so you guys all caught it. We can come back here. I can do that really quickly for you guys. Oh wait, people are not here. Ash is not here, and Larissa's not here. Everyone's that is here. You all get finding teacher error. All right, so let's make the objective at the. Well, I guess I can make it for you guys right now. So essentially, you are finding the slope. Finding a slope in any form. That's the first part. And then the second part, you're making equation and finding equation in any form. So first we have to find the slope. So in general, sometimes they give you a nice equation. You're like, oh, well, there's the slope right there. You just point at it. Sometimes you have to do some algebraic manipulation. And in that case, you should convert to this form. So there are two forms that have slope embedded in them. One of them is easier than the other in terms of trying to convert to that form. Anyone want to take a guess? Which is probably the easiest of those two forms? So again, the three forms that we have standard form that we just learned yesterday. We have point slope, or is it point slope? Slope point. It's point slope form. And then the other one that we started with was slope intercept form. So which of those do you think is going to be the one that we're going to be converting to? Anyone take a guess? You have a 50-50 shot. Charles? It is indeed a slope intercept. Yes, please. So if you are confused, you can pick that up later. If you are confused on like what form you should be converting it to, change it into slope-intercept form. Does anyone have the letters and the equations and the variables? What is slope-intercept form? Y equals what? Who has their card still? Emma? There it is. Y equals mx plus b. You can just pass it around, Emma. Y equals mx plus b, because once you find y equals mx plus b, once you convert it into this form, there's slope. It's right there. So just find whatever m is. Cool. Thank you. I don't have the curse. I can take damage. I'm the game master. There's slope. So look for the letter m. Once you find letter m, you have found the answer. So let's try it. Example number 1. What is the slope of that line? First of all, before we even start doing algebraic manipulation, what form is that? Does anyone remember that form? We just learned it. Jade?
Oh, it's
Starts with an S?
slope intercept.
Not
No.
exactly. We learned that a long time ago, and that's mx plus b. This has x's and y's on the left-hand side. If you can't think of it, you can call on someone else, though.
I think it's y plus y1. No, ax by equals c.
I mean, that is the general form of it, so I'll give you the xp, but it has a name. Jade, you can call someone else?
Yeah.
I think it's called standard form.
It is indeed called standard form. You don't need to know the form. I'm not going to quiz you on it. It's just kind of nice to say, oh, yeah, that's in standard form, so you should look for x and y intercepts when I'm graphing it. Because the slope is not apparent, though, standard form doesn't have slope, we need to convert it into slope-intercept form. So I need to make sure I only have y by itself on the left-hand side. Tell me what to do. What am I going to do first? Quiet, raise your hand. I need to get just y by itself on the left-hand side. Charles? You could do that as a first step, and it doesn't matter if I do that. So it's a little bit harder, but I have to divide every single term by 3. Maybe we should pass them around from now on. Divide each term by 3, and then tell me what I get, Charles.
You would get 2 over 3x plus y equals.
Perfect.
Oh,
Yes, thank you. It's a good step because eventually the y does need to be isolated. Sometimes people would subtract the 2x first, but we can just subtract the 2/3 x now on both sides. So we have this 2/3 x plus y is equal to 4. I need to just get the y by itself. I already told you what to do. I added some filler there so that you would forget. Can anyone regurgitate? What did I just say? How do we get y by itself? I have this pesky 2/3 x. I need to move that to the right-hand side. How do I move that 2/3 x to the right-hand side, Kira?
Didn't you just say to add it?
Careful. Right now I have a positive 2/3 x. So the opposite.
Subtract.
Exactly. So I'm going to subtract 2/3 x and then subtract 2/3 x. And Kira, what do I have after that? The 2/3 x cancels out.
Equals 4 minus 2/3 x.
Perfect. And therefore our slope is what, Kira?
Slope, what? It's 4.
It's the number in front of the x. So it's not just 2/3, it's
X. Negative.
negative 2/3. Yeah, so the answer here is negative 2/3. And again, this isn't exactly in slope-intercept form because it usually goes slope then intercept, but as long as you have the number, like a constant term and a coefficient in front of the x, then you're doing it right. Just take the coefficient in front of the x, this number in front of the x, and that is the slope. Let's try another one, and this one there is a trick to it, which is why I gave you such little room. Does anyone know the slope of this line? Jade knows immediately. How did she figure it out so quick?
Because it tells you.
Jade, what is the slope?
3/4.
It is indeed 3/4. This is in what form? Quiet raised hand. Jade already got the answer. Another, ooh, what just happened there? Quiet raised hand, what is the name of that form?
The form.
The form. Starts with point.
Oh.
Ulysses?
When there's a form.
Close. You still get your XP for trying. Charles? It is in point slope form because the point that it's looking at is -9, 7, and then the slope is 3/4. So if you recognize the form, you're like, oh, that's point slope form, and the slope goes there, there's 3/4, then you're done. It's nice and simple, right? About a third of the problems for the homework and the quiz on these types of problems, it just gives it to you right there. What about number 3? Example number 3. This one I consider to be the hardest type of problem because not only do you have to do distribution, but after distribution you have to convert it all the way back to slope-intercept form. So, first step, distribute. Who can do that for me? Wyatt, go for it.
Okay, so first you're going to want to distribute the left side, so it would be 5y plus 15. And then on the left side it'd be 6x minus 8.
All right, so leave that up there. First, you want to distribute. If you ever have the possibility of distributing, under the assumption that you're not in point slope form, I guess. If it's not in point slope form, then distribute. That should be your first step, and maybe I need to write that down on the left-hand side. First, always distribute. Second, get into y equals mx plus b form. So we just did the distribution, so now we're going to try to get it into the y equals mx plus b, where y is isolated on the left-hand side. What are we going to do next? Where's my shoe coming untied? Charles, yes.
We are gonna add 8 on both sides or subtract 15. But I like to add 8.
So if you have to be careful here. If we add 8 on both sides, we're adding stuff to the stuff that y is supposed to be isolated on the left-hand side. So I'm trying to get rid of everything over here except for y. So if I add another 8 on this side, I'm kind of giving myself too much work. So what should we do instead?
Subtract 15.
Let's subtract 15, I agree. Minus 15 on both sides, minus 15. Charles, can you read me my new equation after I do that?
Your new equation is 5y equals 6x minus. Yeah, like 3.
Careful here. So there's negative and negative, so they're both going in the same direction.
Oh.
You're adding 8 and 15, and the answer should be negative.
23.
Negative 23. Perfect. Thank you, Charles. All right, we're almost done. I now need to isolate y. Right now, y has a 5 in front of it. If everyone could shut their laptops also, that would be very useful. Make sure that everyone is paying attention. Next step is to, okay, I keep getting Wyatt, Kira, and Charles participating over and over again. Jade has participated. I'll give it to her if no one else raises their hand. I need to get some more people. I want to get more cards in here. What am I going to do? Amen, yeah.
You divide 5 by y. Y by 5.
Yep, and then that means each of these terms is also divided by 5. So, Eamon, tell me what my final answer, well, my final equation is.
It would be y equals 3.
Ooh, careful. 6 divided by 5. I think we can just leave that as a fraction. So what fraction is it?
6/5 x
Good. Keep going.
plus minus.
And again, just leave it as a fraction. It's fine. Perfect. And just giving it to Eamon one more time. The slope, therefore, is the coefficient in front of the x. You got the same?
Slope is y equals 6/5 x minus 23/5.
I agree that that is the equation, but the slope is just the number in front of the x. So what is this slope, Eamon?
It is 6/5 x.
Or yeah, just 6/5. Perfect. Yeah. So everyone write it down. The answer here is 6/5 for the slope. Thank you. All right, so those were 3 of the types of problems. I hope I got all the types, but if not, you guys will be able to figure it out for finding slope. The second assignment is how to find the equation of a line. So I'm going to give you a line, and you have to find its equation. So obviously, there are 3 different types of equations, or 3 forms of equations. Generally speaking, you should be using this form because it will work every single time if you just use this one form. Anyone know what form that is? It's the one we use in AP Calculus. Is there anyone new? We have the power trio again. We'll give it to Jade.
Is it point slope?
It is indeed point slope form.
Ooh.
Point slope form works every time as long as you can figure out the slope. The hardest part about these problems, in my opinion, it might be different for you guys, is that you need to figure out what the slope is. So your step 1, let me give you point slope form just in case you guys forgot. Wait, I'm not going to give it to you. Someone else, tell me what point slope form is. Same people over and over again. All right, Wyatt.
I think it's y minus y1 equals like this m times x minus x1.
There it is. There's point slope form. That's the one you should be using over and over. It will always work, assuming that you can find the slope m. As a review, let's list Kira's formula again. Kira, can you give us your formula for finding slope?
Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Thank you. All right, make sure that you have that memorized. That will help you find the slope. Yeah, so generally find the slope and then plug in a point. And you could plug in any point that you want this time. Yeah, question, Kira?
In Khan Academy, when I did it, like, I would do the problem and then I put, like, if you have 2 coordinates, there's, like, the one on the left and that would be the ones. But whenever I put that in for y1 and x1, it was wrong. It was like, you should have put y2. It was. Like,
For this homework assignment or a previous homework
like
assignment?
for previous.
Yeah, for the previous homework assignment, I think they chose a point for you. They chose like Y, they chose like 7 or 8, and you have to match it up. But this one, this homework assignment, you can choose whatever you want because they haven't chosen for you. Okay, so let's try example number 4. We need to write an equation that passes through those lines. So the first step is always find the slope. And again, I can write that down again. First step, find slope. And then second step, choose a point, I guess.
I go for the one that's to the far left because that is right.
Plug into y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. All right. And again, I can underline or box the things that we're plugging into. Those are the 3 things that we plug into. We plug in y1 and x1 because that's the point or the coordinate. The coordinate is x1, y1, and then you plug in the slope as well. So those are the 3 steps whenever you're doing these types of problems. But yeah, so first step, we need to find the slope. We're going to use Kira's formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Yeah, tell me what to do. Jade, go for it.
Okay, so you rise over run to find what?
Okay, perfect. And how are you going to do that? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I agree. So it went down 6, and then right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Went right 5. So
Did you also go left 5 and up 6?
yeah, you could have also said -5 plus 6. Either way, you'll still get the fraction -6/5. Yeah, so thank you for clarifying. Either way, you do get -6/5. You can do it whatever method you want. All right, so Jade has told us that our slope is what again?
-6.
Perfect, -6/5. That was step number 1. I need one volunteer to do step 2 and 3. Choose a point and then plug it into that equation. Who's got it? Charles, go for it.
So like choose a point, would it be, I could do -2, 5? I mean 5, -2.
5, -2, yeah. So this point right here, I can label it. This point is 5, comma, -2. Let's use that point. Tell me what to do.
Shouldn't we find another point?
No, you just need one point.
Oh.
Because point slope form needs one point and then one slope. So we're plugging into this formula now, Charles. So I'll get you set up. Y minus.
Y is -2. So y minus -2
Perfect.
equals -6/5 times times 5. No, x minus 5.
Perfect. And then we just need to simplify. What would be the thing that you'd simplify, Charles?
First distribute.
We'll leave it in point slope form. That's okay. This stuff over here will be incorrect on Khan Academy. Yeah, just change that to y plus 2, and you can ignore that second plus. Y plus 2, and you'll get your answer. I'll leave the double plus up there just for the notes so you guys can see. Yeah, so if your equation was y plus 2 is equal to -6/5 times the quantity of x minus 5, you got the right answer.
Now do we do the other one?
Yeah, you guys should be able to do the second one. Again, you can use whatever form you want. We could have used slope-intercept form because the y-intercept was very clear. On this equation, the intercept is really difficult. Like it looks like it's maybe 1.9, but I can't be sure. It's definitely not 2. So that's why we use point slope form, because slope-intercept form might not be nice numbers. Yeah, so you should spend about 10 to 30 seconds doing the second problem, and once you finish that, check it with someone, either myself or a neighbor. I prefer you checking with a peer, that way more peers are getting their answers checked. Then you may begin on Khan Academy. Question?
Like for this?
Yeah, you want me to come over there?
Yeah.
All right, so for this problem, you can do it one of 2 ways. A lot of people found that this was also a lattice point, and then they did this triangle, which is kind of a smart move to do because it means you don't have to reduce your fraction. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and I go up 3, so that means my slope here, m, is equal to 3/4. But let's say you didn't do that. What if you didn't know that that was a lattice point, and you just use the 2 points that were given to you, which means your giant triangle will look like this. In that case, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To the right, and I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means my slope would have been equal to 6 divided by 4. Again, always delta y over delta x, which reduces to, 6 divided by 8. I don't know what I'm writing there. 6 divided by 8 is equal to 3 divided by 4. So you still get a slope of 3/4, just the bigger triangle you need to reduce. And from there, we just need to fill in our equation, just choosing a random point. Most people chose the point down here, maybe because on the farthest left, I don't know. But let's just randomly choose this point. I could have chosen that point. But I'm going to choose this point, which has the coordinates. This point right here is -5, so the coordinates are -5, and then I go down to -5, -2. So plugging into my formula, I have y minus the y coordinate, which is -2, is equal to the slope, which is 3/4, times x minus the x coordinate, which in this case is -5. And then if I simplify this without having all the double negatives, these become positive, which almost is enough by itself, but I'll go ahead and rewrite it anyway. Y plus 2 is equal to 3, that's a bad 3, 3/4 times the quantity of x plus 5 is the final answer. And I should redo this one as well, just because it should look similar to this one. Y plus 2 is equal to -6/5 x minus 5. And box it.